Hi, everybody. Really quickly, if you need any translation, outside we have translation in Spanish and in French. So if you need any Spanish or French translation, we have some devices outside.
Yeah, can go. Okay. Yes. Good morning. Hello. Welcome, everyone. I invite everyone to take your seats. Hello, hello. So we were expecting a bigger crowd today, but I think most of you went through security. We have Your Holiness the Pope and the President of Italy here. So more people will be joining the session, but what matters is the energy we put together here, right? Numbers are, oh, there you go. We have more people coming. Welcome. So let's start our session. I'm Barbara Della Rovere from the Office of Innovation, and I will be one of your moderators today, together with the amazing Oscar Lopez.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. We are so excited to be here with you today. This is a very special event where we bring together internationally recognized laureates and members of the World Food Forum Young Scientists Group for an inspiring intergenerational dialogue.
That's right, Oscar. So today's event is all about elevating youth voices through science, technology, and research. We'll be featuring dynamic conversations between seasoned experts and early career researchers, all focused on transforming agri-food systems through innovation and collaboration.
And here's the exciting part for everybody here today. This isn't just some one-sided conversation. Throughout our 3 fireside chats, we'll be using Mentimeter so that you, our audience, can actively participate. You'll have the chance to vote on which questions get asked to our distinguished guests today.
So whether you're joining us here in person or online, please join us. Your voice is important to shape this dialogue.
Now, before we dive into these incredible conversations, I'd like to give the floor to the Deputy Director of the FAO Office of Climate Change, Piedad Martin. Piedad, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone that could make it on time through security, and looking forward welcoming many more. I had the chance to engage also in the Youth Forum these days, and I just learned that there is this group of young scientists, so I'm very excited because I'm heading the Office of Climate Change, Biodiversity and Environment, and I think I see a lot of potential connections to build a conversation and also a collaboration with young scientists and, of course, the old ones as well. But I'm very excited to know that we have this space. So good morning and welcome to this powerful gathering of young scientists, global laureates, and future leaders. It's an honor to open the session in the name of FAO, which reflects the spirit of innovation and human connection that makes innovation meaningful, sustainable, inclusive, and also forward-looking. Transforming agri-food systems depend on all of us, because we are not talking only about producing food, also of transporting, elaborating it, consuming it, and how we manage the waste, no? So mentors, peers, and collaborators can support, challenge, and elevate each other in this effort that we have to transform food systems towards being more sustainable and inclusive. So why this dialogue matters? It creates a space where wisdom meets youth, and experience is shared to empower the next generation of change makers. Mentorship is a catalyst, and it helps ideas survive doubt and builds non-technical skills like resilience, courage, and discernment. And let me tell you that I think that mentorship has no age. I have worked a lot with indigenous communities, and when indigenous kids from the age of 10, 12 years old, they have complete voice in the assemblies, they vote. So I think that mentorship is a state of mind, it's an ability, it's a competency, but it's not something that necessarily needs to have a lot of age. So open also your possibilities in terms of being a mentor or being mentored. And today, let's build something together, spark the conversation that turn into these mentorships, plant the seeds of collaborations that lead to new projects and breakthroughs, strengthen innovation pathways like we have done with the Elevate Accelerator, the Youth Hackathon, and the Innovation Champions Network, so we can share ideas, help them move, evolve, and also, of course, scale up. So moving forward, we want to ensure that there is regional and contextual diversity. Every voice matters in shaping the future of science and innovation, and I'm happy to see a very diverse group, so that's the beginning. And engage fully, ask questions, share your vision, and connect with someone new, because this session is all about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Piedad, for your inspiring words and for championing youth and driving innovation within our agri-food systems. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And thanks for setting the stage and reminding us why innovation matters at FAO, that it's just not about technology, but about people, collaboration, and the idea that connects us all. Now, let's get our first fireside chat started.
Let's do it.
Yeah?
Are y'all ready for our first fireside chat?
Yes.
There we go. I know it's early, but I love that y'all are bringing some energy in. We're thrilled to welcome somebody who we're really honored to have here today. Fawaz Bagadou is a member of the World Food Forum Young Scientists Group.
Yay!
And Fawaz is going to be moderating all three of our fireside conversations today. Thank you so much for joining us on stage.
And for this segment, Fawaz will be in conversation with Tinotenda Miko, the inspiring winner of the 2024 African Food Prize. Alongside with the Young Scientist Group members, Leonel Buela and Mariana Moncado. We can't wait to hear your perspectives on innovation and youth engagement in transforming agri-food systems. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you, Barbara. Hello? Oh, perfect. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Oscar. Hi, everyone. I'm Fawaz from the Young Scientist Group. And today, we're having fireside chat. So the fire is coming from us in the panel, but also from the audience. Could you show me your fire? That's cool. Thank you very much. Well, the panel is really interesting. So, but before introducing the panel, you have a very important part to play. So today, you will be driving the questions. So you have an important mission. The audience will be voting for the questions using Mentimeter. Okay, are you ready? Do you have your smartphones? Okay, so please scan the QR code and start voting for the questions that we'll be tackling here on stage. While the audience is busy voting, let's get busy here as well on stage. So we have, oh, okay. How is it now? Perfect. Sorry. Okay. Wow. Let's get to know a little bit about this high-level panel. We have the laureates of the African Food Prize, Taino Tendo. You're a star. But for those who don't know you, how will you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tinotenda Miko. I'm the Africa Food Prize 2024 winner, which is a prestigious continental award awarded to individuals and companies who are driving food systems across Africa. So currently I'm employed as the Chief Executive Officer of the Agricultural and Rural Development Authority of Zimbabwe, youngest appointed CEO since the independence, both pre and post-independence of Zimbabwe. And I'm also the youngest laureate of the Africa Food Prize. I'm an agricultural technocrat, industrialist, and turnaround strategist with 15 years of hands-on management experience across each and every stage of several agricultural value chains, basically from farm to fork. And I've worked with all sectors of farmers, from your smallholder farmers, medium to large-scale farmers across 10 African countries. So I envision a successful agricultural transformation underpinned by technology-driven agriculture. And I believe that technology is the real game changer in radically transforming our farmers from peasant and subsistence farming to surplus and commercially oriented farming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, in one word, he's a star from fork to farm. It's the opposite, to fork. Thank you so much. Next, we have Lionel from the Young Scientist Group. Lionel, you are from academic. Can you briefly introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Nel Chris Sambuela. I'm part of the World Food Forum Young Scientist Group, particularly on the Better Environment team. And currently, I'm working at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, as an assistant professor. So my field of specialization is on agricultural and biosystems engineering, and we are teaching students on the application of hydrology, numerical models like HEC-HMS, HEC-RAS, and how it can be applied in the agricultural sectors. So I think what I want to share is I also like to inspire younger generations, especially our students, to be more involved in these initiatives to transform agri-food systems, especially that we are experiencing lots of problems in the Philippines that are related to climate change, water scarcity, and food scarcity as well. So through the research topics that we try to give to our students, we are helping them be more informed and also be part of this solution to help the future generations meet the increasing demand of agriculture. So thank you for us.
Thank you very much, Lionel. Last but not least, we have Mariana. Mariana, who are you?
That's a very good question. I'm Mariana Moncada. I'm from Mexico. I'm studying at McGill in Canada. And my research is focused on studying sustainable diets, especially like plant-forward diets. We're trying to find a way to nudge consumers instead of forcing them to make this type of decisions or thinking that it will mean a more expensive diet or a boring diet. So we're also looking at the environmental impact, the nutritional impact, and yeah, more like in the behavioral science aspect, because we cannot force people. Like we have to look into their traditions, culture, like the social behavior such as price, and the overall environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I know more about you. Thank you. And the audience, are you still on fire? Yeah. Okay, so let's see. So the audience has voted. The first question, how can indigenous and local knowledge be incorporated into formal science education for agri-food system transformation? I'm going to ask Taino Tendo for his insight about this. From your perspective, how can indigenous and local knowledge be incorporated into formal science education for agri-food system transformation?
Okay, thank you. Indigenous and local knowledge can be incorporated into
science education.
Into science education through various means. Obviously, the first is through technology. Then the secondly is through innovative models. And innovation doesn't mean technology all the time. So I'll start by talking about an innovative model that I wrote, implemented and scaled up, not only in Zimbabwe where I come from, but across 10 African countries. We call it the V30 Accelerator model. This is where science meets knowledge and business, right? Because farming is a business. But it is the science which informs the productivity. The productivity, that is your yield per hectare. If your yield per hectare is low, then there's no business, right? So let's talk of the science. Science can be incorporated through technology or even capacity building. So I'll start with the technology, what we are doing through this model, right? So let me start by defining the model. So this is basically a productivity enhancement model, which imparts agricultural skills to all sectors of farmers so that they achieve the best agronomic practices, they achieve the best yields. Like I said earlier on, we call it the V30 Accelerator model. Production is done at the back of a profitable, viable, and a sustainable business case. And the production is market-led, right? We deploy what we call a resident scheme business manager who handholds our farmers from the point of soil testing up until we harvest and market the produce. So this scheme business manager is a competent agronomist whose role is to impart knowledge and extension to these farmers through technology and through extension, right? So through technology, we are using Internet of Things, IoT technology, that is your soil moisture sensors, your soil tensiometers to monitor the soil moisture requirement of the crops. Number two, we are using atomic absorption spectroscopy for soil analysis and testing. As we all know, coming from farming, each and every crop requires what we call NPK ratio, which is your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So we use technology to test the soils first so that we determine the deficient NPK, so that our fertilizer application is prescriptive. We don't do blanket allocation of fertilizers, right? Then further to that, we have harnessed artificial intelligence and machine learning to develop crop monitoring and crop prediction models. Why are we doing this? I'll give an example of the biggest agro-processing company in Zimbabwe, right? We express cooking oil, we do flour milling, we do maize milling, etc., all those things. But we have only 2 seasons in Zimbabwe to farm. So if you miss that season, you are dead. Because what it means is we have to produce the annual requirement within 4 months. That's why we then said, let's work on machine learning and AI models, which can predict the yield so that we react in real time. We are proactive instead of reactive. So we can actually predict our industry requirements on time using this technology, right? Then further to that, we are also using remote sensing and GIS. We take geo coordinates of the fields, we monitor, we measure the hectarage in real time. We monitor crop health and status in real time, right? Then we also monitor our soils in real time. Jumping into the extension part, this is still the V30 accelerator model that I'm explaining. So during the course of the season, the household beneficiaries, our household farmers, provide employment into the model. Then they access what we call national employment for agriculture regulated wages. Remember, production is done at the back of a business case. Then when you harvest and market the produce, we deduct all these associated costs and they share the profit after tax as a dividend. So they are both shareholders and employees of this scheme. So I'm providing employment to the youth. So this model, I've applied it in Zimbabwe alone to 460 irrigation schemes, which support 1.8 million households. But we then said, let's register these schemes as companies under the Companies and Other Business Entities Act so that they operate as professional agricultural entities. So we now call them irrigation scheme business units. They now have a balance sheet and we've unlocked access to working capital and capital expenditure financing through this model. I've got 460 of them. I recruit a scheme business manager and a bookkeeper for each, so I'm employing 900 youth. Then I also recruit 2 night watchmen to provide security. So that's a further 900, just from the youth. And 34% of that are women. Because as a youth, I've made sure that I harness both the women and the youth demographic dividend, because the youth are the future in agriculture, right? Then, so basically that's a summary of the V30 accelerator model. Then I don't know if you want me to also talk about where I've applied this, how we have imparted indigenous knowledge and education to farmers. I can give further practical examples. We have what we call, you want me to pause?
Thank you very much. Okay. I think this is really a masterclass from the CEO. You are how to apply indigenous knowledge, and thank you so much for explaining the importance of Internet of Things and how to collaborate between those who have the technology and the rural farmers. Thank you so much. Then I'm interested in knowing the thought of Lionel on this, how to integrate like local knowledge to science, especially from you who is from the academic background?
Thank you very much, Foss. So I'd just like to give a short, brief context about the Philippines. So we are an archipelagic country, and many of our farmers, or the farmers in the Philippines, basically consist on the average around 50 or 60 years old. So the population of farmers in the Philippines is basically aging. So this is one of the problems that we currently have now. So since not many younger generations do not want to be engaged in agriculture, I think the food security of our country is currently at risk. So what we do at the university or in the academia is to integrate the knowledge that the farmers have and also show it to our students so that they can learn more from years or decades of experiences that they have. Because as we see, those farmers have been working in the field from maybe 5 a.m. until 5 p.m. just to feed or just to provide grains to their table. So in order for us to integrate this knowledge or local knowledge into our curriculum, sometimes we have comparison or case studies showing how different technologies can be adopted and how technologies evolved from the basic knowledge or understanding of those people who are older or who have been doing farming for decades. So what we usually do, for example, in our classes, we are measuring moisture content of the soil. Basically, we are getting soil samples in the field to characterize the physical properties, which has a lot of, which is very important to quantify the amount of water needed for irrigation. So there are different methods like gravimetric method, but farmers, they don't have access to instruments that will be able to accurately determine the moisture content of the soil. So historically, they just look at the field. Perhaps they just go to the field and then look if the soil is too dry. If they form cracks, then I think that's already an indication for them that the moisture content is not enough. So they have to irrigate. So what we do at the university, we get soil samples, we compare the moisture content using the standard method like gravimetric method, and then compare it against fill-in appearance method, which is a pretty subjective method of determining moisture content. So through that, our students were able to realize the importance of knowing these values, because it helps them create the system more efficient. And aside from that, we also do exposure with the farms. So for example, in our projects, we immerse ourselves with the farmers. We do focus group discussions so that we can know what they are doing in the field. So although we are in the scientific field, there are still lots of information that we do not know. They are there, they are doing farming for a very long time. So I think we lack the experience, because most of the time we are in front of our computers doing numerical models, but they are there, they are experiencing things in the field. So that's basically it.
Thank you very much, Lionel. I can see that you are really an academic. Thank you so much. And I think what you mentioned tied to the second question that the audience voted, like how can a university and a research institution better connect with farmers and young entrepreneurs to co-create solutions. So thank you very much for sharing also the cases you're working on. And I will try, and I'm interested in knowing what Mariana thinks about this from her perspective, like how can university and research institution better connect with farmers and young entrepreneurs to co-create a solution?
Hi. Hello. Okay.
Hi, Mariana.
Hi. Thank you very much. And yeah, it was really interesting what you've been saying. So I think the technical part was already covered, and then some cases. So I would like to go with like taking a step back, because I really like this question because it's like indigenous and local knowledge, which is something that we do have to acknowledge. Nowadays, there's a lot of people going towards Western diets, which is also shaping the way that we're eating. But we really have to recognize all of the potential value in our health and in the ecosystem of the foods that are available in our local communities. So for this, I think always having a hand-in-hand discussion with these people, not only like having a first introductory meeting and then we're going to follow up. No, I think it's a day-to-day basis, always having in consideration this people and acknowledge what they're doing. And just, for example, food systems, it's not only one sector. So, and I feel that knowing about their local knowledge can bring a better perspective, but we can also teach them somehow. So the first step would be understanding their point of view. Maybe us as researchers or different stakeholders, we can then find ways to teach them how to maybe fulfill the demand of local products, and then avoiding all of the way that the biodiversity is getting biodiversity loss, for example. Us as the young scientist group and the Better Nutrition, we were exploring the link of biodiversity and diets, and we found some interesting things about underutilized species and how they're becoming in danger because of the way that we're eating. So yeah, I feel having this type of information in hand and common settings instead of reading 300-page report is just the first step to then involve them as much as we can.
Thank you very much, Mariana. And I think to summarize this, you mentioned something very important. You said hand in hand. So I think this is very important, like hand in hand collaboration between researchers, but also those on field, the farmers. So thank you so much. So for the interest of time, I will ask Mr. Anatendo to close us off and give us, the young here, some advice and how can they leverage their youth to innovation and to develop innovative ideas for the future.
Thank you very much. Maybe a word for the youth is nothing is impossible, and they need to change their perception about farming. Farming, from where I come from, it used not to be an attractive business. Most of the people hated farming. Why? Because it was seen as an arduous and daunting task. Right, it was because of traditional farming methods, where labor was applied manually. Even me, I grew up in a farming family. I grew up hating farming with a passion. But little did I know that I was lost, because we used to provide manual labor when we would go to the rural areas to farm. But times have changed. Starts with a mindset change. First of all, and it's one of the most attractive business, most rewarding businesses. And just for your own information, my own balance sheet as a company is now on over 400 million. My turnover is over $300 million annually from farming. I manage 26,000 hectares from smallholder farmers, and a further 100,000 hectares from commercial operations. But the secret is science is a business. Farming is a science and it's a business. If you do the science-based farming very well, you increase your yields per hectare, and ultimately your profitability at the end of the day. So my message to the youth is we need to change the mindset, and we need to be inclusive. We need to work closely with our governments in terms of policy and public-private partnership, so that we have an enabling environment for innovative, practical solutions for farming, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So nothing is impossible for the youth, and we really need to change the mindset. So thank you so much. Back to you, Barbara and Oscar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to Natenda, the African Food Prize winner, Leonel, Mariana. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Fawaz, for this amazing moderation. Thank you. Learned a lot about local and indigenous knowledge. It was very inspiring. Thank you. So before I start the line of Oscar, right?
Well, certainly. I mean, I think it's still a little early, but the energy here is still high. How are you feeling after that first panel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh.
I see that. I love seeing how the audience engaged through our Mentimeter, and we invite you to continue to do that, and how you all really brought a number of thought-provoking questions. Now we're moving on to the second fireside chat.
Yeah, and for this segment, we're honored to welcome Colline Monchanin. Colline, where are you? Oh, there you are. I was looking for you. So Colline, alongside with the Young Scientist Group members Nicholas Gowen and Gabriel Hernandez, Colline is the awardee of the L'Oréal UNESCO Prize. And so please let's give everyone a warm welcome. Fawaz, you fire again.
I like that. Thank you very much. Okay, the audience, how are you feeling? Still on fire?
Yes.
Oh, please show it more. A round of applause for yourself. Well, welcome to the second segment. So, the public, you already know the drill. So, please scan for the questions. I think, how is it? Can you? Okay. Wow. On stage with me, we have, wow, very impressive panel. First of all, Colline, bonjour.
Bonjour.
I'm so honored to be sitting next to you. For those who don't know you, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. So I'm Colline Monchanin. I'm a postdoctoral researcher in Toulouse working on pollinator behavior. So it's a very upstream of the agri-food system. Before that, I did my PhD between France and Australia, working on the impact of heavy metal on honeybee behavior. That's when I was a lucky recipient of the L'Oréal for Women in Science Award in 2020. And after that, I worked in Thailand with an NGO on coral reef research and education, so another upstream of the agri-food system.
Thank you very much. Next to you, we have this brilliant scientist, Gabriela. For me, you are just a genius. But can you just introduce yourself for the public?
Thank you, Fawaz. I'm Gabriel Hernandez. I'm a PhD student doing my PhD in plant biotechnology at the University of Valencia in Spain, originally from Guatemala. And I'm focusing my research in plant resilience to stress, especially in horticultural crops. And I'm also involved in science communication programs in my country, Guatemala.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Nicholas, you wear many hats: entrepreneur, system thinking, AI guy, so many things. Can you briefly introduce yourself to the public?
Let me summarize the caps. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So basically, I'm coming from a background of entrepreneurship and rural development. And for the past 10 years, I've been trying to use business and entrepreneurship at the service of rural development. And recently, I'm learning more about AI to use it at the service of rural development and food systems. I'm doing that basically using two things. The first one is I'm working with a Berlin-based startup that uses satellite images to measure the carbon in the soil instead of manual testing. It's called Kinsoil GmbH. And the second thing is we are launching an AI unit at the Environment and Sustainable Development Unit, which is the research center in the Faculty of Agriculture at the American University of Beirut. And the idea of all this is that farmers and all the stakeholders who are in charge of our food should not be left behind. And this is basically what's the driving force behind all that. And I'm very happy to be chatting with all of you today.
Well, thank you very much for summarizing all these hearts. Okay, so thank you to the audience for voting. So I think the number one that we have here is how can research findings be more effectively communicated to schools, communities, and policymakers so that science translates into real-world impact? And I'm going to ask to Colleen, especially because she's doing postdoc, she's doing research. So what's your insights about this?
That's a very good question, and that's one of the main questions I'm asking myself every day, actually. How can I translate my research into like real-life thing that will maybe change society? So for the policymaker side, here as researcher, we are just producing results, and we are hoping that some politic people will seize them and try to do something out of them. So we are just here to produce results, not to do something out of it in somehow. But it's doable. We can induce some changing in the world. I'm super happy, and it's one of my proudest achievements that one of my studies was actually cited when one pesticide was banned in California. So we can make change. We just have to hope that someone will seize it. And for the communication to school and communities, I think it's very important to do some popular science, because in science we are always doing things in English with really difficult words. It's hard to understand and it's not accessible to everyone, and that's a shame because science is for everyone and everyone should be able to access the results and understand what we're doing. So we should do more popular science talk or popular science book and go to school and try to explain what we are doing as researchers and what are our research.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that things are already changing, and thank you for driving the change. This is very, very motivating. Next, I'm curious, Gabriela, especially you work on molecular biology. This is really difficult. So how do you think research finding can be more effectively communicated?
Thank you for the question. It's a true honor to be here and share this space with Colleen and Fawaz and Nicholas. And what I think about the question is that science should not stay in journals. It should reach people. Coming from Guatemala, I've seen how local context actually matters, and it's really important for research. And I believe that to make research useful for the community, it needs to be translated into simple language and also practical tools that anyone can use. So using resources like visuals, storytelling, and community workshops, schools and families can understand and learn the science behind sustainability and food systems. So I believe that policymakers are also important in this equation because they also need evidence-based and clear information, ideally co-developed with scientists and community leaders. So I believe that when science is shared in ways that connect with people's lives, it can become tool for real change. Wow,
that's powerful. Connect with people's life. Thank you so much. I think for Nicola, we'll maybe head to the second question. How can cross-disciplinary collaboration, for example, between tech innovators, biologists, and social scientists be strengthened for agri-food systems?
The second, you mean, okay. So two things mainly happen here, or can be a solution. There are plenty, but two very pragmatic pragmatic ones could happen. The first one is the HITL, which is the human in the loop. And this is how the medical sector is using AI to make the decisions. So the AI is making the research, is coming up with reasoning, with justifications. However, at the end of the day, the verdict is still within the hands of the doctors and the humans. So this is one thing that is happening in the medical sector, and that can be as well duplicated into the food systems sector, especially in the sector that is in charge of our food. The second one is the RAG, which is the retrieval augmented generation, which means that the AI should learn and acquire knowledge before generating any reasoning or any justification in order to make the reasoning and the justifications contextual. So for example, if a farmer in northern Lebanon is asking AI about a certain guidance, he will get a certain contextual answer. And if a farmer is from southern Italy is asking the same question, the farmer in southern Italy should not get the same justification and the same guidance, even though northern Lebanon and southern Italy have very common climate, very common soil, and very common social behaviors when it comes to how food is being produced, processed, and consumed. And this is what the RAG is. And I think we need that in our food system still for two main reasons. The first one is that we as a human did plenty of stuff along the years, plenty of science along the years in order to come up with all the knowledge that we already have. And it's too soon to automate it yet. So we still need this human intervention to do that. And once this is there, the transition into that could be much more seamless than we hope that it would be.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Well, I don't know if you see that this parent is very young. Do you see that? A round of applause for youth, please. To close off us, Colin, you're an inspiration for youth, for women, for scientists. What would you say to the young people here who are still doubting, who don't know how to go into science? What is your advice for the youth?
Just dare. We have to dare, and if we don't try, we don't know if we can succeed or not, so let's just try, and you never know, you might be lucky.
Dare. Thank you very much. Thank you, and back to you, Barbara.
Wow, well, thank you so much to our panelists. We had another phenomenal conversation. Thank you so much to Colleen, Nicolas, and Gabriela for those valuable insights.
Yeah, and thank you for strengthening the whole of communication in science and also the whole of science and technology to strengthen our agri-food system. That was really inspiring, and I've learned a lot.
Now, we have the pleasure of moving on to our next chat, and I've got the distinct privilege of welcoming first Professor Carlos Duarte, who's the winner of the Japan Prize for his contributions in understanding blue carbon. Professor Duarte, thank you so much for being here with us. Now, he's going to be joined by some of our members of the Young Scientist Group. First, we have David Yameogo, and Dave is being joined by Chiara Cresta. This promises to be a truly special conversation. Thank you all so much. The floor is yours.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I believe we kept the fire. You already know the drill, so please scan. I'm gonna move a little bit. Please scan for the questions. So, back on stage, this was not rehearsed, but can I just shake your hand, Professor? Thank you. For the record, I'm also pleased to be sharing the stage with young scientist Chiara. and David. Well, I don't even know how to say it. I'm so honored to be sitting next to a pioneer. Oh my God. Well, Professor Duarte, for those who don't know you, who are you?
I'm Professor Duarte. No, so I'm a distinguished professor of marine science, a Portuguese-Spanish citizen, and I'm also the CEO of the Global Coral R&D Accelerator Platform. And I've been doing research on marine systems for about 45 years, and I've been based in institutions in Spain, Denmark, Norway, and Australia. And currently, I work at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. And I work across all marine ecosystems, from tropical to polar, and from very shallow water to the deep sea in my work.
Thank you very much. So for those who don't know, he's the man behind Blue Carbon, if you know what I mean. So thank you so much. Chiara.
Hi.
Hello, Chiara.
Is it working? Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
So you're a member of the Young Scientists. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, so morning everyone. I'm from Italy. I'm part of the Young Scientists group, and I particularly work in the Better Nutrition team. I'm a nutritional epidemiologist, and right now I'm doing my PhD measuring the environmental impact of the right dietary patterns in French overseas regions.
Thank you, Chiara. We're glad to have you here. And David, you look like a cultural ambassador. Are you an ambassador?
I am, by the way. But that's why I do represent the continent of Africa, not just the country of Burkina Faso. And I'm David Yamego, by the way. I'm a PhD student, a PhD candidate at Villanova University, studying water management in data scale region for people, agriculture, and the ecosystem, and also investment prioritization in the water sector in low resource settings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, the audience, for keeping the fire. So, the public has voted. The first question is addressed to Professor Duarte. How can education system better prepare young innovators to think across boundaries when designing solutions for a sustainable agri-food system?
Thank you. So that's a very relevant question. And I think that the current education systems are flawed in terms of driving young students and academics very early on into hyper-specialization and then confining them into very small boxes of knowledge where they lose sight of the bigger picture and they lose sight also of opportunities to integrate other elements of knowledge. One fundamental element that is missing, in my opinion, is actually a basis of humanistic thinking. I believe that most people now are eager to develop a new technology that is going to solve a problem, but really these are just putting like band-aids on the bigger problems. We are now suffering from a world that is broken in terms of our value systems, and if we do not repair those value systems, we can only have like fixes to problems that will be perpetuated. So I believe we're missing that humanistic education now, going to a blind trust on technology and science as the solution, and ignoring the social element and the humanistic basis that make us all humans. So I will encourage all to try to go back to those roots, because that's the foundation upon which everything we do is based on. So all of those sustainability stamps, 1 to 17, mean nothing if we don't have a solid basis of humanistic thinking. So that's one, and you can apply that across all problems. that's a solid basis to go across, work across problems. And then in the particular case of food systems, I'm very frustrated to see that all institutions, academic, but also institutions like FIO and so on, are looking at food systems in a very narrow way. So like land and ocean are totally separated. Even if you look at the org chart in FIO, they are separate areas. And in my opinion, the challenge for the future of feeding possibly about 10 billion people in the future, 9 to 10 billion people, will be to better integrate food systems and land in ocean. And I don't see many steps to do that, but I think that's an urgent need, and that requires that we understand how oceans work, how land works, and what are the opportunities in integrating across those boundaries of knowledge.
Thank you very much. And I think we're so happy to have you here because you can help to tell how to do that, how to integrate the knowledge about ocean. So thank you so much. Chiara, what's your insights on this? How can education system better prepare young people?
Thank you. I strongly agree with everything that Professor Duarte said. I believe that today a lot of academics programs claim to be interdisciplinary, but then in practice, research is still often carried out in silos. Different departments and sectors work separately, and they come together just at the end of the research to combine the results. I think this shouldn't happen. Collaboration should happen throughout the entire process of research. From defining the problem all the way to designing the solutions. And solutions can be found to design in a way that they don't tackle one challenge, one problem that our planet and humans have to face today, but multiple challenges.
So defining the problems and then designing the solution. Thank you so much. David, what's your take on this?
Thank you very much. I'm thinking about four things. Four things are crossing my mind right now, and I think both of them already touched on the first thing. The first thing is teaching system thinking. We have to show the students that how everything are interconnected, from climate change to water management to irrigation systems, and also to grow to be able to grow us in a sustainable way. We have to be able to design a curricula or have some courses that are really, really interconnected. The second thing that is crossing my mind is to get students immersed into the real world. So we don't want students to just be sitting in a classroom learning. We want to be able to give them the opportunity to go all the way down into their local communities or other local communities to learn, and also to put in practice what they learn into those classes. And when I'm talking about learning, that's bring me to my third point, which is learning from different experts. Not only learning from scientists that we are, learn also from local communities, learn from those, we were talking about local knowledge before. How can those students learn about this local knowledge? We have to underline the fact that local knowledge also is years of experience. You go down into, I don't know, a village in southern Madagascar, the farmer, he doesn't have an early warning system, but he can look at the sky and tell you, oh, it's gonna start raining in 2 hours. And trust me, in 2 hours, it's gonna start raining. So we want the students to go all the way down to learn from that. And then the fourth point that I will bring here that I think it's really, really important is to start young. Those students have to start young. We don't want them to wait until they're going to be at the university level to start learning all of that. We want them to start when they are really young at the college level. We want them to know that our food is really important. We want them to know that our this interdisciplinary requirement for the food system is a must. So I think that's the 4 points that are really crossing my mind. And I want to be able also to say that young people, they are really tech savvy. They understand the problem holistically, and also they understand the urgent need to solve all those problems. But we have to be able to set up this environment to be able for them to learn and also for them to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this insightful intervention. And yeah, system thinking is really important. And you also mentioned that we really need to learn from the local people, from the old people, but also go back to the roots. And I think Professor Duarte also mentioned before that we need to go back to the roots. So Professor Duarte, how are we going back to the roots?
I think we need to go back to the roots by being humble. And for instance, for me, I've learned a lot by working with indigenous communities, and I support and advise as scientific director a big project initially led by Maori tribes, and then spread through all of the indigenous groups in the Pacific. And the program is called Hino Moana Halo. And then it's about healing nature. So they think about healing nature, and they want to heal the whole of the Pacific, not just their home, but the whole of the Pacific. And I've been spending a lot of time discussing with them and then translating into my own logic system what I was hearing. And I learned 3 principles that are fundamentally important, which inspire their work. The first principle is we are nature. There's nothing like nature and people. We are nature. The second principle that inspires their work and their projects is that in nature, everything is connected. So then you need to have a holistic, systemic view at efforts to heal and repair nature. And the third principle is that in nature, you take and you give back. You just don't take and keep it. So there need to be a reciprocity in working within nature. So I think that's really been inspiring in setting principles for my work. And those principles really inspired, so we can think of that in kind of in the Christian tradition as the parable of the prodigal child that abandoned the house, the common house, which is nature, and then tried to find their own path through technology, believing that through technology we can free ourselves from the constraints of nature. And finally, we're coming back to the home that we shouldn't have left, which is be within nature and be part of nature. So then that healing process is very important, and I would encourage all in the audience, particularly those who are students or in early stages in their careers, to rebel against the sustainability paradigm. The sustainability paradigm is broken, so forget about sustainability and demand from the likes of me that we regenerate what we broke down. Because during my lifespan, I'm a 65-year-old, during my lifespan I've seen 50% of global ecosystems be degraded. 50% of all documented extinctions have happened during my lifetime, and also half of all the greenhouse gases that have emitted by humanity have been emitted during my lifetime. So I cannot look at the eyes of my grandson and tell him that I've been sustainable, here you go. So do rebel against the sustainability paradigm because it's broken, it's not going to work for you, and demand that the new paradigm should be regenerate, should be healing nature.
Healing nature, that's very powerful. Thank you so much. Wow. We can also see that he's really young at heart, right? And thank you for bringing back the fire here. Thank you so much. So let's continue and see the second voted question. So the second voted question here is, as restoration efforts scale up, how can we ensure that blue carbon serves as a driver of biodiversity and local livelihoods? So this is blue carbon. So I think I'm going to ask you again, Professor Duncan, because you are a pioneer in this.
Well, I'll try to be brief to give my colleagues also an opportunity to continue the conversation. Sure. So you mentioned blue carbon. So blue carbon refers to the strategy to contribute to climate change mitigation, adaptation, and also generate a flow of ecosystem services by restoring and conserving the world's most intense carbon sinks, which are the ecosystems that sit at the land-ocean interface. So those are mangroves, seagrass meadows, kelp forest, and salt marshes. So we have lost about 40% of those, and their capacity to remove carbon on average is about 15 times greater than the capacity of land ecosystems or tropical forest. So they also are very important in supporting food systems. So the most productive in terms of the yield of seafood ecosystems in the world are seagrass meadows, and they not only support directly food systems, but they also provide a home to nurtured fisheries globally. So they are a fundamental underpinning of the global food system, but also carbon removal in the biosphere. And we are now, through the concept of blue carbon, then we're seeing that the rate of degradation of global mangroves is going down. So they used to be degraded at rates of about 2.5% per year over the last 40 years, but now blue carbon projects that are investing in reforesting and avoiding the loss of these ecosystems have already managed to stop the losses, so that currently we have about as many gains as losses, and we are now starting to bend the curve towards rebuilding mangrove ecosystems, and seagrass and the other systems are lagging behind. But I would like to also indicate that the important paradigm here is not carbon, and the carbon-centric approach, it can actually lead to a lot of errors. So we need to be thinking about the whole benefits that we receive from these ecosystems and see them as natural capital. So for me, carbon was always an intermediate station between making nature investable, because until now from the ocean we just took, we never gave back. So now we're giving back and actually reversing the destructive flows from colonialism. From now, the financial flows go from the, let's say, global north to the global south to repair ecosystems. But then we need to look at natural capital as the new asset class. And this is now being supported by changes in legislation in the European Union, Australia, and the UK, and other countries will follow, that are mandating the private sector to be able to mitigate their impacts on biodiversity directly or through their value chain. So there's a new market that builds on the market, on the carbon market. There's a natural capital market that will probably generate significant resources to repair these ecosystems, and not only for the carbon benefits, but for the other benefits that we receive.
Thank you very much, Professor. Chiara, what do you think about the importance of the blue carbon in the biodiversity and food system?
I think this is really connected to the first question that we addressed, that too often we study and we look at the agri-food systems in components that are separate to each others. But when we, for example, in this case, when we study the potential of blue carbons, we should also include the indicators on, that measure the impact on livelihoods, on food security, on health. We started doing that about climate change just recently. For many years, we studied the impact of climate change just on the agricultural sector, and we still miss a lot of evidence and data on the impact that climate change has on marine ecosystems, aquaculture, fisheries, forestry, and how then indirectly impact also other components like health, food security, nutrition. So I think we can, we need monitoring systems that don't only measure the impact of climate mitigation and adaptation strategies on the agriculture, on the environment and agricultural on agriculture or livestock, but also on all the other aspects of the agri-food systems and people's life.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kiara. David, what's your take on this?
For the sake of time, I'm not going to go back because they already talk about the blue carbon being serve as a driver for the biodiversity. So I'm going to talk about the second part. It can serve as a driver for the local livelihood. First of all, blue carbon has to be able to create jobs. So we all know that the restoration needs what? Planting. Restoration needs monitoring. Restoration needs maintenance. To do so, we need to pay people. We need to train people. We need to, first of all, train people to be able to do that. And also, we need to pay them. So when it comes to paying them, that brings me to my second idea, which I think we have to share the benefit of blue carbon fairly with those local communities. Once again, I'm going back to the local communities. Carbon credits or carbon credit money is not supposed to stay in the hands of the big companies at the top. It has to come all the way down to the local communities. They have to get some stake, some stake out of it. So it's not supposed to be only some money for those big companies. And then the third point that I'm thinking about is to be able to integrate their knowledge. As I'm saying again, they know better, and they have been doing that for years. Most of the people are changing their environment, and they have been doing that. They have been able to keep restaurate with their local knowledge for years, and I feel like we should be also going down there and learn from them. So that's, I think, my insight on how blue carbon can serve as a driver for local livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Creating job, it needs to create job. I think that's a very good point that you raised there. Just for the sake of time, I think here we are having intergenerational discussion. So Kiara, what do you think about their intergenerational collaboration that needs to be done for the sake of sustainable food systems?
So first of all, I think that we need to rethink what intergenerational collaboration is. I think we tend to think that intergenerational collaboration is something that goes from top to bottom, so that senior experts share and teach to younger professionals. But it has to be two ways, a collaboration. There must be a reverse monitoring. Obviously, senior researchers, senior professionals can teach us a lot, but also as young people, we can teach them a lot, and we can flow back some fresh perspectives. And I think training modules are essential for everyone that train and teach senior professionals young professionals, researchers how to approach senior professionals, but also senior professionals should learn how to speak to young people and how to leave space and room to the new generation, to young professionals, and specifically to young women professionals, because these spaces are too often occupied by seniors and men.
Cool. I can see that many women here agree with you. I also agree with you. Thank you very much. And to close off, I will ask Professor Duarte. He's a professor, and how do you see this intergenerational knowledge sharing goes? How do you think we need to rethink it? How's your thought on this whole thing of intergenerational knowledge sharing?
Well, I'm a university professor, so my work is always with young people, and even though I age, they're always the same age. So my students are always the same age, and I become increasingly distant from them in the age gap. But I think really I would rather talk about intergenerational justice, as I mentioned earlier, and I think that the dialogue between senior professionals like myself, senior in terms of age, and younger audiences and participants should be framed always in the context of intergenerational justice and the fact that we co-create solutions. So I learned too late, but I think it can be fast-tracked if education systems change, which is a bit how we started the conversation, that solutions don't come from academia. We are only one element of the solution, possibly, and very often we are locked in our own academic rewarding systems, like the way we get promoted in academia. We forget that the point is not to put one more paper in the library, but it's actually to contribute to solve significant problems in society, and that is a process of co-creation that requires a dialogue between everybody involved. And then in many geographies, particularly developing nations, then the youth is actually the dominant demographic. So then they have to have a seat at the table, and I wrote a paper also in terms of UN conventions, where I wrote that youth is nature-based solutions, because I was at the point I was mentoring climate negotiators from Saudi Arabia that were very young women of about 25-year-old. One of them had been my student, and I followed them in the negotiation room in the climate summit in Glasgow. And I looked around the room, and they were actually negotiating the toughest part of the negotiation in that cycle. There were only 3 countries with people their age. Those 3 countries were developing nations. Everybody else in the room were my age and my gender and my skin color, most of them. So, and I saw that my mentees that were young Saudi women, they were negotiating with a different mindset. They were more empathic, they were more willing to find a solution rather than keep to their own pre-assess point. And I realized that the reason for that is they are negotiating the future that they will live on. Whereas the likes of me, 2050, which is the time horizon that was being negotiated, is a fiction. I'm not going to be around in 2050. So all of those were negotiating fictions, whereas the young people were negotiating their future. So I think the young people need to be empowered, not just to be part of dialogues and solutions, but actually take the lead, because they're more likely to find solutions and empathy required to find solutions than the likes of me.
Thank you very much. I definitely feel empowered right now. Thank you so much to all these amazing panelists. Thank you so much. And back to you, Oscar and Barbara. Thank you to the audience as well.
Thank you. Wow. Wow, right? Wow. I'm like, well, I know we were in concurrence again with the Pope, with the President. That was not an easy job, but we're not that many. I mean, we're okay, right? But we were together, we were empowered, and Fawas, how we say, we were on fire. That's amazing. So what an extraordinary experience it was. So thank you again. Please, a round of applause for the African Food Prize here with us. For the L'Oreal UNESCO for Women in Science Awards. And for the Japan Food Prize. Thank you so much. And for the Young Scientist Group Awards, no, but whatever. You deserve an award. I mean, this is the award is ours for being with you, the young scientists here.
And I really also want to take a moment to appreciate how the audience, how you all participated in the sessions through voting on Mentimeter and helping shape what these conversations look like. The questions you all picked really helped us dive deeper into the topics that matter to all of us.
Yeah, and I particularly love I love dialogues in a way, right? I'm Latin American, so I tend to speak a lot, but intergenerational dialogue is really more special. We all come with, a package of learning. We all learned something here, and I loved that we ended the session all learning something new on how we can help transform agri-food systems.
Certainly not. Before you go, I have one last request, and that's that you see this last QR code, please scan it, give us your feedback. It'll help make sure that we make the 2026 World Food Forum even better than this year's forum.
Yeah, and to everyone here and in the audience, there is still a lot more going on in the World Food Forum, so don't go home, don't go see the Pope. I mean, he has gone, by the way. Anyway, well, go see the Pope, he's cool. But, well, engage with us. We have many more sessions going on, and it was a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you for being here, and see you soon.
See you soon, bye. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.